We might just be live already. You never know with these things. I need to find the right rocket ship controls to hit record, and we will dive into this mix. All right, it's working. Greetings. And one more button and we'll be on. I'm just realizing you probably saw all that mayhem on the shared screen. Please bear with me for a second. It is early in the morning. All right, I want to start here. Actually, here. Pardon me. It's on. Greetings, salutations from space, aloha from Earth friends. This is Gemini Brett here to speak about the love's rules and creating safe space for dialogue and all sorts of other themes tuned to the energies of the recent Capricorn Venus Cazimi, Venus Sun conjunction, and also the coming conjunction, which is a very different astronomical type, the one that will happen towards the end of October 2022 in the sign of Libra, defining what I like to consider these days a Capricorn Libra Venus Synodic Cycle. Now, before we dive into the color-coded timeline here and the charts, let's put that all away and have a bit of a fireside chat. Fireside chat is actually an interesting place to begin. Why chat by the fireside? And the answer is it helps us feel safe. It's a sign also of our hard work to create a safe space, right? Because you got to get out and chop the wood and store the wood, dry the wood, have it in a place, right? Do the work to start the fire, right? Get the kindling going, build your little pyramid or whatever that wants to be. I cannot claim that that's the case here at our home in California. Got like a little button. So that's a cheat. Then again, there will be a gas bill, the things that I have to do to pay that bill, right? It's a little bit different in a day and age. And of course, right, I feel the great privilege right now of having a button to push to bring fire and warmth to my back, which on one level is ridiculous. To my front, I can't see it yet because it's still dark outside, but I will see the powerful beauty of Mount Rainier, which, by the way, is the true Capricorn. The essence, the mountain, the salt of the earth, the structure. And at the base of the mountain, from this particular angle in the bay, I will see the Chevron refinery, right? And I can't say this particular natural gas is coming from that place at all, but it's enough of a reminder that, hey, you probably don't want to like burn natural gas to stay warm all the time. We also have a heat pump running right now, which is powered by solar energy, and that's something that we've done and put some hard work in and a lot of patience to get solar on our rooftop and a good amount of it and some batteries. Now you can feel all green and special about that, but where do those batteries come from? Where do those solar panels come from, etc.? And I think these are obviously some of the most important contemplations in our day and age. Like, what are we doing to feel safe? That's on a personal level, on a familiar level, on a cultural level in a huge way. And of course, environmental concern will be part of what changes the shape of things to come. Some of that for beauty and some of it, I would suggest probably not, and we don't need to go there today. So, there's a really fun question, which is, okay, is the mountain Capricorn or the Chevron refinery? Or both? Let's just take a sip and rewind. That's right, friends. My Brett and Anna mug. Adventuring together since 2017. This was a anniversary gift. This 4th anniversary from my beloved Anna. Thank you, dear. And there's a few wonderful reminders here. One is when we met through the stars, and getting outside is a happy place for us. It's interesting. It's something that I want to kind of really devote myself to in regards to love's rules at this time in my life, much of this being encouraged, these contemplations through this beginning of a 19-month Venus cycle, which, believe it or not, is the subject that we are riding on even right now. And much of it because I've just launched my School of Earthstrology. And Anna's helping me with this, and with some reservation, I know, because the busier I get with work, the more I'm taken away from my relationship with my beloved and with her son, Koa, who's has many books on these shelves, an amazing being, right? And so it's important for me to make some rules and build some structures and a foundation, right? To create safe space for the blossoming of my relations, even in this time where my role as a teacher is blossoming more and more in my life, right? I've been teaching and will continue to teach for several astrological organizations and groups. But now it's also time. I would just suddenly receive the light. Oh, it's time to build the school. And it's happening suddenly. and it feels actually really good. It's right on time, and I can see it in the mapping. But the beginning, especially given that I've been incredibly sick, it's been a lot of work and will continue to be for a little bit of time. And how can I tend to that fire without extinguishing the fire of my love and my commitments to my relationships? And I imagine that something of this theme is already alive for you in your life in one way or another. And I think very importantly, most importantly, the world needs love more than it ever has. I mean, has there ever been such a time of division, of like literally promoted separation and hatred and blaming the other and alienating, classifying and casting aside divisions in families for political rules? I mean, health decisions. And when we do feel opposite to the other, one that we love, and we want to come together, right? I mean, children and mothers right now, for example, what kind of structures and safe places can we establish to foster a healthy dialogue? Or perhaps rules are, let's not talk about that, so we can just celebrate our love and agree to disagree, whatever that may be, right? For me, that's not the healthy way, but sometimes it's the best option with specific relations, do you know? So I want to kind of think about that theme. How can we build a fire for a safe chat? When it's cold outside and you've put the hard work in and the forethought, right? So if it's freezing outside, it's not, oh, let me go run out and cut some wood. Excuse me. That wood's not going to burn anyway. It's not only that wood was cut, but it was brought inside, probably not too much at a time, to host, all of the like the Lord of the Flies and pests inside. No, but you do need to bring wood inside so that it can dry and be prepared for the fire. I learned this in a very important way in Seattle, where I did have a wood burning fireplace. And when I was seeing clients in person, and especially in the wintertime, I'd really try to have a fire lit when they came over, because it can just melt some of the boundaries and some of the false protections when we feel that just natural, deep, ancient force of safety. And this is really what, the fireplace is about. Here we have these bricks, painted though they may be, right? That idea of the structure and the foundation and the roots of the tree, but also like the bricks of a house, right? Having shelter, which many of us are blessed to have a safe place to sleep, to dream. There are no dreams if we're not safe, right? You're in fight or flight, you can't really drop in. And I think that when I'm speaking Capricorn, these are all themes, and even this Cancer Capricorn axis, that I like to invoke. These are things that we can learn to tend to. You might hear that I'm pushing a few computer buttons because I'm seeking an example to share. Right, it is done. Okay. So why so much attention on Capricorn right now? Is it the Capricorn sun? Yes. And a Capricorn lunation. What do I mean by that? The most recent meeting of moon and sun was in the sign of Capricorn on January 2nd, beginning a Capricorn month, or month, I prefer to say. A month that I like to consider Capricorn Cancer. Why? Because the synodic cycle, the moon and the sun, synod meaning meeting, began with their meeting in the sign of tropical Capricorn on January 2nd. And that seed of new moon will flower under the bright silver light of the Cancer full moon, which is January 17th. Now, you can have a Capricorn new moon followed a couple weeks later, not by a Cancer full moon, but rather by a Leo full moon. So a Capricorn Leo lunation is the other option in Capricorn new moon lunations, okay, or synodic cycles. This one is Capricorn Cancer, and this January 17th Cancer new moon. Oh, like the Gemini new moon that preceded it. Sorry, Cancer full moon, like the Gemini full moon that preceded it. In the Northern Hemisphere, these are very high full moons, reflecting sunlight, and the sun, of course, in the sign of Capricorn is very low in the Northern Hemisphere sky, right? So we see this beautiful truth at solstice time of polarity, of opposition, literally expressed that way. The Capricorn sun will set very far south of west, while the Cancer full moon will rise very far north of east. The Capricorn sun that day will travel very low in the Northern Hemisphere sky, and the Cancer full moon very high, like incredibly high, in fact, out of bounds. And I digress into astronomical play, as I am wont to do, because I like to keep my astrology grounded here in the body, Earthstrology. Why am I speaking about this moon? Because when I bring us in our gaze and our attention now to the Venus Synodic Cycle, I want you to have some context for why I like to call this cycle a Capricorn Libra cycle. Okay, so we are going to speak about astronomy a bit here. Venus is one of the interior decorators. Interior planets. Mercury being the other. What does this mean, interior planets? It means that their orbital paths exist between Earth's and the sun. Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, right? We are the third rock. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and beyond are all exterior, right? The moon is the being who goes interior and exterior. Imagine that you are, Earth, and I am the sun, right? So what is new moon? New moon is moon coming between us, right? So you have Earth, moon, sun, the synod, the meeting of moon and sun, new moon, right? And then full moon is moon back there. Right? You'd have to turn around. And if you did, you would see the full moon fully reflecting sunlight back to you. Yeah. So the moon gets interior between Earth and sun, and exterior, right, on the opposite side of Earth from the sun. And that shows up as an opposition in the zodiac, because the zodiac, my friends, is not of the sky. It is of the earth. Earthstrology. Venus and Mercury, let's talk about Venus. It's a very different thing. Or, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, the exteriors, they could never come between you, Earth, and me, the sun, right? It's not happening. You could find Mars back here. That's the Sun-Mars conjunction or Sun-Mars synod. And you can't find Mars back there anyway at that time. Why? He's under the beams of the light. Yeah. And Mars can be over there. It can be opposite sun, exterior too. For Venus, it's this kind of thing. Because Venus is orbital path between Earth, that's you, and the sun, my face in our example here. Okay. And every 19 months, about 584 days, 583.92 days on average, but who's counting? We are. Let's say 19 months. Every 19 months, Venus comes between Earth and the sun. Now, when she recently did this, she did that. And what were you up to? The day was very recent. It was on January 8th. 2022. For some of you, it would have been January 9th. It was 4:48 p.m. Pacific time. Anna and I, Koa was not here. He was at his father's. Anna and I brought the dog. The cat decided not to join. And we went to a place we call Solstice Hill. Why? Because from our point of view, that's where the December solstice, the Capricorn solstice, the south solstice sun sets. And going on the other side of that hill is a really wonderful idea for a late in the afternoon hike if the sun's out, because it has this amazing vista of like all of the West, Marin and the Golden Gate Bridge and San Francisco and down into South San Francisco zone. It's amazing. And you get really late sun because you can literally see the sun setting, in this case, into Mount Tam. And there's these cows out there. And right now, all of these calves, like little babies, which is wonderful because Anna freaks out. So if you can get the dog to stay committed to rules like, please don't eat the cow poo, it's a wonderful place to be. And so it was, so mud. And we came home from there. And I had a wonderful opportunity to kind of sit and pray and speak commitment and building that fire for a warm and safe space for dialogue and commitments to love. And then Anna cut my hair, which is great because it was just in my eyes and out of control. And then I shaved. And that was an interesting thing. Sometimes we should just take our astrology so literally. The best is when it's happening, when we're not really thinking about it. Because with Venus retrograde, which is what this is, Venus passing Earth by. What a wonderful thing to completely reinvent and renew your style. Speaking of the angel, hi, Isabel. Why don't you lay down? Do you have something to say? Why don't you lay down? Sit. Lay down here. Lay down here. Sorry. Yeah, and that's really just helping me kind of turn the leaf or whatever you're supposed to say and move forward this time where we've both been pretty sick, and commitments to the school and keeping all the other commitments happening too. All right. So commitments is a really interesting word, right? We can feel completely buried in the weight of our commitments and responsibilities, or when they are written intentionally, especially when we have safe boundaries to say no to things that aren't going to work, right? They can be a place of just great joy and a safe fire for us to sit by as we contemplate and, navigate and live our lives. So what was up with you on January 8th? One thing that was up with you on January 8th was Venus was coming by. Okay. So, and this is Venus retrograde. When an exterior planet, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, beyond, is seen in Earth's sky, to literally stop its prograde motion, its direct motion, slow down, stop, and then turn around and very slowly start moving in the opposite direction through the zodiacal constellations. It's a very strange thing. And it's very close to something that almost all of us have experienced, which is when you pass a car on the highway, it appears to move backwards as you are passing it. Before you are passing it, sometime after you are passing it, we know that car is moving forward, but it seems to be moving backwards. It's a trip. And that's what it is when Mars retrogrades, or Jupiter, or Saturn. For Mercury and Venus, for the interior planets, it's a different story. So I'll just show you this real quick. Like, let's say this is Venus again. Venus is direct motion. Well, let's say from the bookcase constellation towards the crystal constellation, right? The amethyst cathedral over here. That's direct motion. Well, look what happens when Venus is passing us by. Do you see how now she's moving from the crystal to the bookcase? Retrograde. And if Earth was not moving, you're the Earth, right? So in this case, you're not moving. And I'm just having Venus whip around the sun, which she does in 225 Earth days, less than one Venus day, interestingly. But if you weren't moving, then Venus would appear to be direct half the time and retrograde half the time, with a little bit of station, because there's these moments where Venus would be moving from your point of view kind of exactly away from you or exactly towards you, and wouldn't be seeming to go anywhere in that zodiac at all, right? So if you were just in the stands of the great chariot race, then Venus would be direct half the time and retrograde half of the time. But you're not in the stands, my friend. You are in a chariot called Earthstrology. And so these 225 days of Earth days of Venus getting around the sun in her own orbit is not experienced on Earth. Because Earth is moving, it takes actually 584 days. I think that's like way more than twice 225, right? For Venus to come between Earth and the sun, and then get back between Earth and the sun, because it's not happening here. It would be happening like over here somewhere, right? Because Earth is moving. All right. So, and again, I love to get into the astronomical, because my experience is that if we can intimately understand the physical form and embody the quantifiable, measurable heavenly happenings, and that's sacred astronomy, then we can have a better experience of an expression of the unmeasurable, the correspondences, which many call astrology, but really astrology is the rainbow bridge between the measurable and the immeasurable, between the astronomy and the correspondences. You want to hear correspondences from me today. So let's get back to our fireside chat. With mugs, speaking about Venus's orbit, because there's a couple of very important things. When Venus is on the side, before her pass, which is her retrograde, and we like to say it's 40 days and 40 nights because we've all tuned into, Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings album, right? Well, we should. Amazing. And rest in peace, Sharon Jones. But because, of course, 40 days and 40 nights shows itself in many of the ancient scriptures. Venus's retrograde period tends to be more like 42, very magical number, 6 times 7, or 43 days. And either way, this is a time where Venus ends her reign as evening star. And I'm going to miss her so much. I mean, we end up taking this for granted. Here at the house, we have this really amazing western view. We get solstice to solstice every sunset of the year if clouds allow. And so it's just been Venus beaming, as the sky brings itself to bear after the sun's rays set below the horizon. There's Venus just kind of gazing back. And now it's Mercury and Saturn and the bright Jupiter, and it won't be forever because they orbit the beautiful wheels within wheels and the endless cycles of the cosmic beauty, But anyway, it's been Venus and very bright in the last couple months, and now gone, just gone. And Venus will not be back in the evening sky for like a year. If I want to see Venus, it's like this: wake up well before the sun. It's currently 6 a.m., right? And here at our house, we actually don't have a great eastern view. Now, it won't be long before I can step outside the front door or walk Isabel up the road or something. There's a couple of different spots where we can open up towards the east with Venus reemerging. In the southern signs, it will be looking towards the southeast, right? We have a decent angle to see Venus there. I might get in the van and drive to the reservoir nearby, where there's a very beautiful still water, and to witness Venus's heliacal rise, which is the time when she comes out of this conjunction, and under the bright beams of the sun, though she's closest to Earth, and on one level kind of brightest, you can't see because too much sunlight, right? Venus has to pass the sun from Earth's point of view far enough by to now rise before the sun. And that's Venus's heliacal rise. And then the sun rises and she's gone, right? If you know the great story of Inanna, this is Enki sending these monsters to Inanna and Ninchabar, who are sailing away from the Abzu with the me, right? And these monsters are sent to get them back. And that, for me, I'm sure, is the rising sun, which blinds our experience of Venus, right? But every day she gets further and further and further away, and our experience of that is Venus rising earlier and earlier before sunrise, to the point where you can really have a great Venusian experience, and then the sun rises. And you get to points in some cycles where Venus is actually above the ground in the east for like 3.5 hours even before sunrise, and you can really receive that light of the one they called the light bringer, morning star Venus, who brings the sun. So Venus has been an evening star, and then there's this great transition every 19 months from that evening star side as she passes between Earth and sun and then is reborn in the morning. And most of us begin the Venus Synodic Cycle with that rebirth. The Shamanic Astrology Mystery School, where I started, begins with the heliacal rise. I have since retrograded that to the actual Cazimi or conjunction. some of that through the teachings of Ariel Gutman's, most of that because of my experience, because when is the heliacal rise? So shamanic astrology, like many, utilizes an astronomical criterion for Venus of heliacal rise is 10 degrees phase angle. So when retrograde Venus gets 10 degrees away from the sun, and that's like January 14th, 2022. All of these dates, by the way, are Pacific time. But I've seen Venus when she's within 5 degrees of the sun. And I was convinced the other day I would see Venus when she was conjunct the sun, because she was conjunct by longitude, that zodiac degree, but 5 degrees away by a latitude. She was north of the ecliptic plane. And I digress once again. I did not see Venus, by the way. At one point I was like, whoa, but it was a plane. Anyway, so when does the Venus cycle begin? And I, just as most of us, celebrate new moon with the no moon, the moon sun synod or conjunction, though we cannot see it with our eyes because moon is under the beams unless it's an occultation or eclipse, right? I still like to use that mathematical alignment and trust the tables, even though my eyes cannot confirm. And this, I've kind of learned to do with Venus. So it's one of the ways that I've just slightly shifted from the brilliant teachings I received from Daniel Gemario at the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School. Daniel's done so much work with these synodic cycles and created this wonderful technology timeline of working with the Venus cycle in accordance with the great story, the oldest story we know of, at least written, which is Inanna's descent into the underworld, her death and rebirth, and her return from there. Now, that's a long story, but I'll just say a couple key pieces, which is that Inanna descends to grieve with her sister, queen of the underworld, Ereshkigal, so the goddess of heaven and earth. Inanna puts her consciousness to the great below and hears that pain of her sister and descends. Her sister, Ereshkigal, has lost her husband, Gugalana, the bull of heaven. And this is one of many tales which likely speaks about the transition from the age of the bull of heaven, Gugalana, to the age of the ram. Inanna marries Dumuzi, the shepherd, you see. Anyway, she goes perhaps to grieve the ending of this age and, to provide space, which is like labor pains. In fact, the Ereshkigal gives birth during the story to the new age, right? So we scream that baby in to help its soul anchor into this new ground, this new earth. Yeah. Okay, so Inanna goes to descend. She meets this gatekeeper, Neti, on the way down. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, this is for the dead. Like, you're alive, you can't be. She's like, look, I'm on the list, buddy. I'm the queen of earth and heaven. And my sister is your queen of the underworld, the Ereshkigal. Here I come. And he goes to check in with Ereshkigal. She's, what? And yes, and she's wearing the 7 sacred adornments, the Mies. What? We'll make her take her crown off at the first gate, which maybe we could call the 7th, and then her earrings at the next, and her double-stranded lapis lazuli necklace at the 3rd gate, or maybe we should say the 6th. Why? The golden breastplate at the next gate, the girdle of birthstones at the next, the ring of power at the next, and finally the red robe at the 7th gate. But maybe we should call that the first, because these 7 gates and the associated adornments are clearly associated with the human chakras. Crown, earrings, I like to say bindi for the 3rd eye, the necklace for the throat, the breastplate for the heart, girdle of birthstones for the sacral, right? That's like this beautiful thing worn here. The ring of power, which hangs, the solar plexus for the girdle of birthstone, the ring of power, which hangs at the sacral, and then the red robe representing the root chakra. And she's then in the underworld, she's naked and bowed low when she comes into this Ereshkigal's throne room, and she's there judged, an interesting Capricorn word, perhaps. not only Capricorn. And she's slain, hung on these meat hooks, but then resuscitated. And I don't want to tell the whole tale here. And I also hate to tell a tale of a tale. It's not my style, but that's what we've got to do today. Anyway, she's receives help from Father Enki, who sends the Cougar and the Galater to feed her the plant of life and the water of life and bring her back. And then she climbs back from the underworld to this realm, bringing back her getting back her adornments on the way up. So the last one to be removed on the way down is the root, the red robe. And that's the first one reclaimed as she's coming back. And then the ring of power and the girdle of birthstones, or I could say root chakra first, and then sacral, second chakra, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown. Right. And then Venus is just fully crowned again in her glory as an evening star, because the way it works is after Venus passes Earth by, she has this heliacal rise in the east, and then the sun rises, and that's it. The next day she rises a little bit earlier, the next day earlier, like this, because Venus from our point of view is retrograde and the sun never is. Sun and Venus actually separate very quickly from one another at that time. At this time, I mean, it's happening now, like literally as I'm recording this on January 12th, 2022, Venus's heliacal rise will be very soon, where we get to see Venus reborn. And then very quickly over the course of the next couple months, she will rise to her glory, her morning star height. And then having stationed direct and match the speed of the sun, she will then start closing that gap as she's moving faster than the sun in our sky, in our experience, in our zodiac, in Earth zodiac, Earthstrology. And Venus will literally be seen then day by day getting lower in the morning star sky, literally descending day by day. Now, during the course of her descent, we will have typically 7 in this particular cycle, 8, depending on where you start your count, moon gates, which is in this case, the waning crescent moon at the end of the lunation or the moon synodic cycle, visiting Venus, right? And each of these moon gates, especially once they get going, features a conjunction of moon and Venus, this beautiful sight with Venus on closer and closer to the underworld, to the ground, and to the beams of the sun, right? That's like this. Here's Venus, and every month the moon comes around, moon Venus conjunction, moon Venus conjunction. You see, eventually she gets here and she's too close to the sun to be seen. She goes back under the beams and she disappears for like 60, 80, 100 days, depending on the cycle and where on Earth you are looking from. Like you can't see Venus here too close to the sun. Right. And so she has, and during her retrograde, she moves from the evening star side to the morning star side. And if you know the tales, that's the moving of the Halupu tree. I believe also Venus's visit to Father Enki at the Abzu, a very different kind of underworld than Erishkigal's Kerr. I believe the Abzu is the side of the sun that faces the earth, and the Kerr is the side of the sun far from Earth, like that, right, as Venus goes during her exterior conjunction. And so this is retrieving the me from Enki and then arriving home to the White Quay in Uruk. Okay. And then quickly kind of achieving her queenship, finding Dumuzi, and then descending. And during these descents, again, moon gate, every month like this, typically 7, sometimes 8, depending on how you align astronomically the story to the heavenly happenings. Then Venus disappears, right? That's Venus in Erishkigal's Kerr. She has this exterior conjunction. And that marks, though we can't see it with our eyes because Venus is literally as far from Earth as possible and underneath the beams of the sun, it marks the time when Venus transitions from morning star side to the evening star side. And this is her death and rebirth, right? Because she's had her heliacal rise in the eastern sky as a morning star. And she actually has a heliacal set in the eastern sky too. And then later, after she passes the sun, and the astronomical criterion we use is a 10-degree separation, although it really depends on the cycle, where you're looking from, how that particular sign addresses the horizon. Much more beautiful astronomical, awesome sauce. But let's say 10 degrees from Earth's point of view between Venus and the sun, that's called phase angle. Venus's heliacal rise, now in the west, as an evening star, reborn again in the west. And she will very slowly from there separate from the sun from our point of view until she reaches what's called maximum elongation, which the most it can be is about 47.5 degrees. Doesn't happen in every cycle, but somewhere around there, 45 to 47-ish. On the way to achieving that height every month, a moon Venus conjunction, this time in the sunset west. And so the waxing crescent moon, right? In the morning side, it's the waning crescent moon that visits Venus on her way into the underworld. And when she comes back from the underworld, it's these young moons that greet her. And about 7 of those tuned to these chakras. So let me show you the map. That's a crash course on Venus, Synodic Cycle. And this is the map. I mean, you'll see some very astronomical, amazing points like Venus's maximum brightness, February 9th, 2022, her maximum elongation, her furthest distance from the sun on the morning star side, which is literally on equinox day, like at equinox time. Check out the sun is at 0 degrees and 15 arc minutes of Aries. That is equinox, right? Venus's maximum elongation, furthest distance from the sun, less, about a semi-square, a little bit more, 46.5 degrees, right? So Venus can't get opposite sun like exterior planets can. That's it. Venus can never be more than a crescent. Even before that time, the way that shamanic astrology works the system is that as soon as Venus stations direct, which is January 29th, we count the moon-Venus conjunctions as these gates of descent. Although honestly, Venus will still be getting higher in the sky until her maximum elongation. And I digress once again. But the general idea is when Venus stations direct in Earth's zodiac, there is the intent of now chasing the sun down. And that means going into the underground. Okay, when planets go into the light, we go dark to their experience. It's very strange and beautiful truth, but don't we have our greatest visions with our eyes closed? So interestingly, in this particular cycle, and this is definitely not consistent to cycles because the moon, earth, sun rhythm is a very different thing than the Venus, earth, sun rhythm. In this particular cycle, we actually have a moon Venus conjunction just after Venus stations direct, right? I mean, they both happen with Venus at 11:05 Capricorn. You can see how much time's gone between the two because for one, Venus station direct, sun's at 9.5 Aquarius. And for the moon Venus conjunction, which is here in purple, the sun's at 10:11 Aquarius, moon and Venus at 11:05 Capricorn, right? So on the same day as Venus stations direct, January 29th, 2022, again, these times are specific, Pacific time. We have a moon Venus conjunction. This is the crown gate. And so I'll just offer this beautiful technology to you, or timeline for it, which is that then begins a month where we clear the crown chakra. What is keeping me from connecting to the divine? Now, there's a way to frame that question within the framework of Capricorn Libra. So I'm going to end there, but let me just say that for now. I will also recommend a wonderful place to play in community, which is called Venus Alchemy, a community that has been held by Kaylin Castell of the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School and Tammy Brunk for 8 years now. I think their first public offering was with the previous Capricorn cycle, and Venus does these 5 archetypal cycles over the course of 8 Earth years, 13 Venus years. I was a member of that in 2014, and then the Leo cycle, which was next 19 months later in 2015, when I began a 13th flower Venus transmission on YouTube. So I want to say a thing about that real quick. Let me open a YouTube page. Oh, not the School of Earthstrology, but I'm going to get back to that too. So if we go here to, please. Huh. Wow. Everything seems to have backfired, friends. I don't know what's happening. Oh, annoying. I seem very much stuck and incapable. Huh. Are we still on? Okay, it seems like maybe that's so. And I think I'm going to have to separate this into part 1 and part 2 because my computer is totally freaking out. In fact, I can't even, well, there's an end share. I'm going to hit that and I'm going to come back on live for part 2 of this thing in a bit. And it's going to be a little bit because family's waking up soon and I want to make sure I have time to drop in and say hello and share the love. And then I'll come back on live. So I guess thanks to the very strange computer shenanigans that have offered this opportunity for me to practice what I preach, to walk my talk. Sometimes it takes a little help from our friends, even if the help doesn't feel so helpful. I do want to not end this way. So I will continue to speak about the why of this astrological delineation and the why of this timeline and how we can work with it. But to bring it back to the roots and perhaps what matters most, let me just say why we began this chat at the fireside again is because we are encouraged by this Capricorn Libra cycle, as I've come to call it, and that's different than what I was first taught, and I'll say more about that in the second part of this transmission. But for me, the invitations, requirements of this 19-month Venus cycle, where we have an interior conjunction, Venus conjunct Sun between Earth and Sun in Capricorn, and an exterior conjunction halfway through the cycle with Venus so far from Earth in Libra, is to set Capricorn intentions for Libra initiations. Okay, what? So what does that mean? I'll be back here. We'll retrograde back to this place in part 2, but generally speaking, to set a safe space, to build that fire, to build the foundation, to create the structure so that we can be safe enough for dialogue, connection. Right? Part of Capricorn is realigning to true traditions that will support the blossoming for the 7 future generations. Now, that's a very different Capricorn than that Chevron refinery and much more the Capricorn of the mountain. Or is it? Because I'm pushing this button thanks to the refineries too, you know, but is this button Capricorn? Right? So there's really important questions in our lives, in our relationships, which is certainly a general Venusian theme. In our love, what structures can we build to support dialogue, balance, harmony, relations, Libra stuff? And my friends, this is the first Venus exterior conjunction with the Sun in the sign of Libra in our lifetimes. And it's a very important, very, very, very important shift, like one, you know, a century in the making. Very important shift. Now, when we realign our truth to like traditions that will see us through, sometimes that's actually pushing away the opportunity for harmonic, balanced dialogue. I mean, I'm just thinking of a thing in one of my own relations, not one here at home, where I was like, look, this is true, do this research, understand this, and then we'll talk. But that's not, can we please talk at all? That's like wounded, right? And there's so much of that happening now. I hate to like perpetuate and be part of the problem, but it's our awareness of these kinds of things that help us shift. Yeah. And why not be honest about it? Okay, so we'll get back to this in part 2 of this transmission, which will be shorter than this one. I will also do it live on this device that you might be watching it live or later on. Which, by the way, if you are a subscriber to my YouTube channel, if you're watching this, please hit like and subscribe and share it around. I believe tonight, we're going to make sure it stars align, but be going live with my dear friend, Joey G of Mercury Rising Astrology for the Storytelling podcast. And we're going to be speaking about fate and free will. So I hope you will join us for that. I should say that it is at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. Today, January 12th, 2021. So just subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications, and you will find every couple Wednesdays, I believe, once we get on track, that at 6 p.m. Pacific, we will broadcast the Storytelling podcast. I will also be having a conversation tomorrow with Ari Moshe Wolf about the coming shift of the lunar nodes from the tropical signs of Gemini, Sagittarius, where they have resided now for more than a year and a half, into the tropical signs of Taurus, Scorpio. And those of you who have signed for the Earthstrology waitlist not only have access to like hours of free classes now, and this will be one of the bonus classes that I put up, but you will also be invited to attend that conversation live if you would like, which is happening Thursday, January 13th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. And where I'm in December on my calendar. Oh, you're right. So Thursday, January 13th, 2022, 1:30 Pacific time. Ari Moshe Wolf and I will speak about the basically present shift of the lunar nodes. And I'm really excited to have that conversation with a great astrologer from the evolutionary astrology paradigm, which is, very aligned to the energies of the nodal axes. So the final thing that I will say, and I wish I could share the screen properly, I'm just having a computer freak out, but is that my School of Earthstrology is a wonderful place to please come play. Give it a try. I literally have a Capricorn class, a sacred astronomy class, or sacred geometry class. This Sunday, the 16th, I will be presenting a class on golden time, on the golden day, the golden year, and the turning of the ages, Earth's 3 motions for Earthstrology. Every month, I will have a live teaching around a sign. We began with Capricorn. And then an accommodating astrology class a couple weeks later, this one being golden time, very essential astronomy of astrology, the framework. And next month will be Aquarius and a class on polarity and sect. The next month, Pisces and elements. The next month, Aries and modalities or quadruplicity. The next month, Taurus and the path of the soul, lunar nodes and the special parts of the moon and things that I personally do. The next month, Gemini and the ascendant and angles. The next month, Cancer and the moon and Thema Mundi and aspect 1 and dignity 1. And the next month, Leo. And houses 1 and like this. Hi. And so it'll be a year of, we call it the golden year, following the sun through the tropical signs and tuning into fundamentals, or dare I say fundamentals of astrology. The second year of my Earthstrology curriculum is the silver year, where we have more classes and tune into how to do a chart and timing techniques, right? And then there will be a year of the stars, and it goes on and on and on. So head to GeminiBrett.com, which properly, of course, has Gemini T's, 2 T's, GeminiBrett.com, and you'll find a pop-up to sign up for the Earthstrology waiting list. Enter your email, confirm that you want to do that in the first email that's sent to you, and then 2 emails will be sent to you, one with a login and another with a password. Bring your password with your email address, log in, and you will come to the course page where you're going to see a Capricorn class, Capricorn homework, Capricorn study group speaking about the homework. You're going to find a Zoom link to join live this Sunday for the golden time. You're going to find a Sacred Astronomy, What You Need video, and soon you will have free access also to Sacred Geometry 1 on oneness, the sun, the circle of spirit. You will also find bonus classes where you will find a magical time, a 2-hour class on the planetary hours, days, nights, alchemical metal, mysteries, and much more. I will be putting this transmission of the Venus cycle there too. So perhaps you're already there watching, and I'm glad that you are. And very soon in A Theater Called You, I will be announcing what it costs to play and stay for the year of this golden year, where we will be providing a safe study space for feeling, healing, knowing, and growing, and aligning ourselves at this very important time to the mysteries of the living sky, to celebrate the marriage of heaven and earth. Earthstrology, friends. All right, well, I think I do have a button to end this meeting. Thanks for computer for your weirdness. I will finish up in regards to this Venus Synodic Cycle timeline in ways that you can play a little bit later today. See you in space. Oh, the end button here is not working. I thought that was our only chance. I don't know. I guess I'm just going to have to like close my computer and hope. It is the weirdest thing that's going on here. Let me see if I just start them. If things happen. No. All right. I'm literally just closing my computer and praying that that ends. Oh, wait. Holy moly. It all happened. Okay. That being said, sorry, friends, for the shenanigans. Sometimes it's how it is. You know, life throws us curveballs and we got to deal. I have a microphone laying on the ground. I think we're like back and still live and things are cool. And I want to try to share my screen in a way that works. So let's give that a whirl. What do you think? All right, we seem to be okay. Great. So let's just finish up. Then I can give my full attention to the fam. So where I wanted to go first was to YouTube, and maybe that's weird because I'm currently live there. But if you head to YouTube and you just search like Gemini Brett, there's his Zoom meeting, 13th flower. You're going to find a ton of videos, including this conversation with Kaylin Castell, who I was just speaking of, or Adam Gainsbourg, who wrote the really wonderful Light of Venus book, Gary Caton, who's done some amazing work with the Venus Synodic Cycle. If you go to any of these videos, they're going to start with some of these beautiful sounds of Aria. This is Venus, who I just transitioned and I devoted this project to. And you can go see, all right? But go to any of the videos and get into the descriptions and then find this 13th flower video playlist on YouTube. If you head there, you're going to find a ton of videos around the Venus Synodic Cycle, beginning with what is a Venus Synodic Cycle, and I'll show you a bunch of astronomy, and then we kind of go one by one into the thing, okay? And I utilize interviews with amazing astrologers and other healer and feelers from all walks of the way to get into this. And that was a devotional thing that I did in my last personal Venus Synodic return, which began in August of 2015, a Leo cycle, for that was the cycle to which I was born. This is what you will access if you choose to come in, even playing with the free classes and curriculum for the School of Earthstrology. Those of you who choose to stay and study this year will see just as much as what is currently shown for Capricorn, also for Aquarius and Pisces and Aries, etc. But here's just a quick look at some of the themes of the curriculum this year, some bonus classes, ceremonies, and then a look also, although this is going to get intensely expanded according to my vision I received the other day, for next year, which is the year of the silver moon. So please check it out. And the way to get in there is go to GeminiBrett.com. As I said before, if you go to GeminiBrett.com, you'll be greeted by this pop-up, my beloved Anna to thank for that. Or you can head to GeminiBrett.com/courses, and you will find there the Earthstrology waitlist. Now, you might be seeing this video into what I currently perceive as the future, when this will actually just be a sales page link to get into the course itself. We might close the course at some point. I'm not exactly sure. There will certainly be, I believe, until January 23rd, a early bird price, and that will be announced very soon. So, but regardless, if you just sign up for the wait list right now, you'll receive some emails that will allow you to come in and, no, I don't want to use this term, but why not kick the tires, right? And check it out. So you can find out a little bit about the course. Some more videos will be coming here, including the most important myth of our time and how it is to be operating in shadow and light. And then these are all different classes that you can tune into for free right now. And I hope you will take me up on that offer. All right. So now back to the charts, and why am I talking about fireside chats, and what is this timeline and all that? Okay, so here is the Venus Sun conjunction that happened on January 8th, beginning this Capricorn cycle, a 19-month cycle. And just as much as I would say that we are currently in a Capricorn Cancer lunation, because Capricorn new moon followed by a Cancer full moon. Let's look at those. Here's the Capricorn new moon on January 2nd, Cancer new moon on January 17th. So I consider this lunation to be a Capricorn Cancer lunation. I consider this current Venus Synodic cycle to be a Capricorn Libra synodic cycle. And the reason is Venus came between Earth and Sun, and that's a retrograde Venus conjunction in the sign of Capricorn. And Venus will be exterior Sun conjunction in the sign of Libra. I think of the interior as intentions and the exterior as initiations, right? Now, as I said before, this is the first Venus exterior conjunction, the sign of Libra, in our lifetime. She does the star, the Venus star, if you've studied that, moves slowly retrograde through the zodiac. This same point has been in the tropical sign of Scorpio, traditionally Mars's domain, from 100 years plus, and now she's moving a homecoming back to Libra. A lot of these types of shifts that are happening in our time. I love seeing where Jupiter is in this moment too. It's another place where a Venus star point is currently one that will soon move from Aries to Pisces. So what is it to have Capricorn intentions and Libra initiations? And there's much more to see in these charts. Let me hide my camera so you can see both of them on the screen. But also just to speak about this timeline, well, these are these Moon-Venus conjunctions. And the practice And I was kind of interrupted before when speaking about Venus Alchemy, which is a wonderful community that's been hosted by Kaylin Castell and Tammy Brunk. Tammy Brunk walking her talk this year. Deep brow to you, sister. Like taking a little time off to live life. Has stepped away for this current teaching cycle, and Sheridan Simple is stepping in. Sheridan, a wonderful astrologer and human being. And so Kaylin Castell and Sheridan Simple will run Venus Alchemy. So if you really want to tune in with a community specifically to this timeline, to this cycle, it's a place I recommend. They do a very beautiful job. I want to once again just give deep bow of respect to Daniel Jamario, who brought this cycle forth and this way to play. And so if you want to do this at home, and I'll be coming back to share, I'm sure, along the way, because it is one of the cycles that I am most personally aligned to. I've seen its power. The way to play is, if you can, get up before the sun for the Venus descent and go look at these moon Venus conjunctions, which are what are defining these times color coded to the chakras. Okay. And January 29th, the gate of authority, the crown chakra. And we go out and we watch that moon Venus conjunction. We wear our violet, and we set our intentions on the way down for clearing the clutter. Okay. So for the crown chakra, that's what is keeping me from connecting with the divine. Specifically, I would tune that question to the framework of a Capricorn Libra cycle. I'm going to finish with that, now that we've been there for much of this time. The next month, I devote myself to clearing the third eye. What is keeping me from seeing truth, experiencing truth? Where are my blocks of my perceptions and definitions that would keep me from just being in reality? The next month, throat chakra, and we wear our blue and we say, what is keeping me from hearing and sharing truth, speaking, And the next month, wearing our green for the heart chakra, what scar tissue on my heart is keeping me from love? What could be more important than opening myself to giving and receiving love at this time of sad, promoted division by the powers that should not be and really are not? Solar plexus the next month, and we wear our gold and declare that we will radiate light. But more importantly, it's this on the way down, that's the Venus morning star side, right? It's clearing what is keeping me from radiating. The next month, what is keeping me from creating in my power of my sexuality, sacral. The next month, what is keeping me in fear? I release this, and we become the empty vessel. And like Venus, we go through our own death and rebirth. We have this Libra exterior conjunction, shortly followed by a solar eclipse conjoined Venus in Scorpio. So as much as that point has moved from Scorpio to Libra, it's keeping its truth in that place that they share in the burnt road, as it said in the old ways. And then when we come back up, so Venus has her rise in the west. She's now an evening star. I mean, this is at the end of 2022. December 1st is when Venus achieves 10 degrees separation from the sun. It'll be sometime around there. And then towards the end of that month, on December 24th, our first visible moon Venus conjunction in the evening sky. Very low on the horizon, taking back the red robe. So on the way down, we release fear. On the way up, we reclaim groundedness, rootedness, security, safety, the fireside and the bricks and the structures in this. Isabel here is just laying at my side right now, just super tucked in. And others she would bark at. Isabel has some serious root chakra-ish. But with me, she feels safe, right? And she just pushes herself into me and likes to feel the brick. You know what I mean? So I wanted to share that because I'm feeling it right now. I love you, honey. You're okay. Back to sleep. Having that safe place to rest in relationship, it is so key. In Venus, what does she signify in your nativity? That's a very important question. That's going to depend upon her placement in your chart and also your horoscopos, which is your rising sign. Okay, many don't know this. It's a very fundamental power of my own personal astrological awareness and the School of Earthstrology in general, horoscopos. But in general, Venus is a significator for love, for relating, for harmony, for balance, you know? So a lot of that sounds like Libra, right? So this particular cycle of Capricorn Libra, we could say Saturn Venus, Mars Saturn, if we're speaking exaltations, and we could go on and on. I want to show you this very important truth, that this is some image from the book of the Astrology School. Thanks to Joe Santos for co-creating this with me. Venus conjoined Sun in 19 Capricorn. Let me just hide my camera and we can see that chart. Oh, well, these are both the exterior conjunction, huh? I think I know what happened there. There we go. And let's just move this one over here and get the camera back. Buttons. 19 Capricorn, 1843 Capricorn, 19th degree. Okay, well, that is within the face of Venus. According to the triplicity ordering, that's a face of, or decan 10-degree division, the second third of the tropical sign of Capricorn, traditionally associated with Mars through the Chaldean order, and with Venus through the triplicity order. It is also the bounds of Venus, this 19 degrees Capricorn, which lives right here. In the Egyptian terms, or bounds or face of Venus. Let me show that to you. AstroGold has recently added this beautiful option to show the Egyptian bounds or other Ptolemaic bounds on the ring. And so you can see Venus here and Sun for this cazimi, this conjunction, in the bounds of Venus. Saturn at the time and Mercury in Aquarius were in the bounds of Venus too. So was the moon in Aries. So was Jupiter in Pisces. Mars in Mercury's bounds. I mean, do you think this is a good time to study Egyptian terms or bounds in regards to Venus? I would say so. Look at these terms. It's like Venus, Mercury. Venus also in her own triplicity at the time. And, you know, these are the beautiful truths of essential dignity, and in a very important part of the teaching of the Earthstrology school, though that's certainly way outside of the realm from the shamanic astrology mystery school where I got my start. But my own astrology has gone kind of very traditional. All right. So, I mean, I can show you all these things, but let's just end with some words. This is a time for us to build foundations where we can be safe in love, in relations, foundations for relations. And what are your love rules, right? So, for example, in my own world right now, as I am giving so much energy to the birth of my school, and I am so excited. It's been a long time coming. I've just been waiting for the permission / push, and it came suddenly. That's kind of how I live. And there we go. I'm not going to allow, and it will take work and attention and foundation for this to be so. I will not allow that passion to destroy my relations and my love. That's like a commitment I am making here at my home, and it will take me to attention and work to tend to that fire, right? I want to provide a safe space. And this school will also be basically the current that I ride out, I imagine, right? So I'm also establishing things, foundations in building the school now that will be, I'm sure, decades of great work for me. I can't be positive. I shouldn't say I'm sure, but it sure feels that way in my bones, and that is my intention. The school itself wants to be a place that fosters relationships, community, equal sharing. These are Libra things. Now, equal sharing is challenging when you're a teacher. It's not impossible. It's necessary. Part of that is a commitment to learn from my students. I have so much respect for Dexter Gordon, as like my favorite saxophone player, in that Coltrane really learned from Dexter. And later, when Coltrane did his innovation thing, it's amazing. Dexter was like, wow, what's going on there? And Dexter learned from Coltrane. This idea that I'm the teacher and you are the student, there is actually a beautiful tradition and essence in the transference of the mysteries in that type of relationship. But it can also therefore eliminate the reception of information on the way back, which is one of the most beautiful truths of teaching. One of the things I've hesitated in starting my school. First of all, am I some master? Look, I'd never want to be. I am a lifelong student, right? And I also don't want to set myself on some pedestal that would keep me from the opportunity of learning or loving, right? But there are ways to navigate this if we are conscious of and attentive to setting the structures, creating safe and beautiful boundaries, you see. This is important in all of our relations. We are living in this time where the world is promoting division. We need to bring the heart. We need to bring big love, and we need to be safe in order to do so. So it is imperative that we set in our own personal domains proper boundaries that allow us to love, which means if it's heated and if it's not working, we take a break. Maybe learning, some of the great kung fu of nonviolent communication, including taking the pulse. This isn't working right now. Dear, let's have a walk and come back to this when our nervous systems are not, wearing the boxing gloves or holding knives, When I realign myself to the true Capricorn, which is the salt in the real mountain of earth, and the traditions of the elders that have been missing for so long in a culture that calls elders older and pushes them aside, where we also have many who are not stepping into that role of wisdom, but rather complying to the messages of the TV screen or their, of Big Brother or whatever, right? Because why? We are in a sick culture that has lost the truth that it is the elders that will see us through. So stepping into eldership and creating a space for culture that allows for the reverence of our elders and the opportunity for elders to step into that position. This is one thing that I love so much about the way that I know the archetypes, learn the archetypes. It makes so much sense that I came first to the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School, because the way that Daniel Jamario knows these archetypes and connects to, the shadow and the light and the day and the night. I mean, all the parts of these archetypes, right? Like it's near and dear to my heart. It just makes sense. And in that school, Capricorn is not taught as government and police. I mean, I would suggest those are things that came rushing in to try to fill the hole where the elders should be. And Daniel speaks of Capricorn as the council of elders, the circle of grandmothers. And I think, bringing our awareness and our structures back to that sacred space, that's going to change everything. But now we can come back into what we believe the structures and the rules should be. And that could just as much provide a safe space for balanced, harmonic, and equal exchange as part of the Libra ideal. It can also prevent it. I believe I know the truth, right? Oh, this is my zodiac. This is my astrology. So I'm not going to have that conversation with you until you accept what is right. Good luck. This is what I know to be the truth of that strange thing that's happening in the world today. And since you are on the other side of it, first I have to get you on the right side and then we can talk. No. Please tell me why you feel this way. Educate me, right? No, don't try to change my mind. Tell me about yours. Tell me about your heart. My heart is open. My mind is open to seeing you, to loving you. If you're looking at people in your life right now who seem so absolutely misguided and you feel the responsibility to get them back on track, why? Instead of bringing them to the light, why don't you bring yourself to theirs? And that doesn't have to mean you agree. Do you see? It means you have to agree to love. That's it. Where are you coming from? And the conversations now have literally, like the deck has been rigged, so it starts with a fight. That has got to change. You are being told to divide. Fight that with love. And by the way, love understands you can't win a fight. These are not only contemplations, but invitations I hear in the mirror of my own words for me to realign, because I've not been, in some regards, practicing according to these invitations that I'm hearing in the heavenly harmonies. I wonder what you're hearing, and I would love to know. So please leave a comment below. Please do like this video if you like this video, and share it around if you feel that others would too. I would love for you to subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell if you're watching this on YouTube, and you will receive notifications. For example, like for when the Storytelling Podcast is broadcast live tonight, which is 1/12/22. I love numbers so much. Right, I can do with that 1/1/2/2/2 if I skip a couple. Anyway, we're Joey G of Mercury Rising, and I, Joe Santos, will be speaking about fate and free will at 6 p.m. Pacific time tonight, January 12th, Wednesday, miércoles, Mercury's Day, the best time to air such a conversation. So I hope to, well, see you there. And may the beautiful guiding light of Venus and her rebirths and deaths again and again guide us always and support you